Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Analyst has theory on why Cowboys haven't signed Dak Prescott. After their opening round playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers, fans wondered what was next for the Dallas Cowboys. They were one of the best regular season teams in 2024, but for whatever reason, they couldn't strike it rich in the playoffs. When they lost yet another heartbreaking postseason game, fans called for Dak Prescott's head, wondering when his time with the team would end. The Cowboys haven't shown any signs of getting rid of him, but there has been some speculation about a potential extension in the works. It might seem odd that the Cowboys haven't signed him, but Kevin Wildes recently put together a working theory to figure out the why behind this decision. News cycle. It's the middle of August. We're kinda like, hey, what's going on? The Olympics are going on? This guy wants to own the news cycle, Wildes said. As Wilkes asserted on First Things First, Jerry Jones wants to be at the center of attention when he has the opportunity. By waiting to sign Prescott until right before the season starts, Jones would find himself in the news, for better or worse. Prescott's name is met with a lot of scrutiny around the NFL, so it will be interesting to see what the Cowboys end up doing. If they extend him, they're not likely to give top-dollar contracts to other deserving players, which could cause another reshifting and alignment of star players heading into 2024. Dwayne Thomas, Cowboys star running back, dead at 77. Officials with the Dallas Cowboys confirmed Tuesday that former running back, Dwayne Thomas, passed away on Sunday at the age of 77. Thomas recorded the first touchdown ever scored at Texas Stadium on October 24, 1971. His 56-yard run put the Cowboys up 7-0 early in the first quarter against the Patriots. He capped his second year in the NFL by helping lead Dallas to its first Super Bowl victory later that same year. Thomas scored a touchdown and added 95 yards on just 19 carries against the Dolphins that day. Born Dwayne Julius Thomas on June 21, 1947, in Dallas, Thomas starred at Lincoln High School. He then played at West Texas State, now West Texas A&M. His teammate there was Mercury Morris, who would lead the Dolphins to a 14-0 season and a Super Bowl win the following year as a rookie. The Cowboys drafted Thomas with the 23rd overall pick in the first round. He was the fifth running back taken in the draft that year. As a rookie, he split time as both a halfback and a fullback for Dallas. In 14 games, he would earn 8 starts in 1970. He finished the year with 803 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns on 151 carries. In Super Bowl V against the Baltimore Colts, Thomas caught a 7-yard touchdown pass from Craig Morton. He was held to just 35 yards on 18 carries by the Baltimore defense and also had a fumble in the 3-point loss. The next season, Thomas had 793 yards and 11 touchdowns on 175 carries in just 11 games. Without Dwayne Thomas, the Dallas Cowboys might not have made it to either Super Bowl, but there was trouble brewing despite the successes. Cowboys predicted to land explosive vertical WR to replace Brandon Cooks. The Dallas Cowboys could land one of the top wide receivers in next year's draft. As projected by the Draft Network's Justin Mello in his 2025 NFL mock draft, he predicts the Cowboys to select Texas Longhorns wide receiver Isaiah Bond with the 25th overall pick. Mello writes that Dallas will look to get cheaper at wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb's looming extension and with Brandon Cooks due to become a free agent next offseason. Aging wideout Brandon Cooks is entering a contract year, writes Mello. The Cowboys will want to get cheaper at WR2 following an inevitable and historic extension for CeeDee Lamb. Isaiah Bond is the next explosive vertical receiver coming out of Texas. The 20-year-old Bond recently transferred to Texas after starring with the Alabama Crimson Tide over the past 2 seasons. Bond posted 48 receptions for 668 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns during his sophomore campaign with the Crimson Tide last season. As Keith Sanchez of the Draft Network writes in his scouting report of Bond, the 5'11" receiver is a deep threat who can quickly accelerate and break away from defenders. Bond is an explosive vertical threat who can quickly accelerate, creating separation between himself and defenders, writes Sanchez. Bond has effortless speed to stride past defenders and can use this speed to set up other elements of his game, working the short and intermediate portions of the field. The 20-year-old Bond recently transferred to Texas after starring with the Alabama Crimson Tide over the past 2 seasons. Bond posted 48 receptions for 668 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns during his sophomore campaign with the Crimson Tide last season. As Keith Sanchez of the Draft Network writes in his scouting report of Bond, the 5'11" receiver is a deep threat who can quickly accelerate and break away from defenders. Bond is an explosive vertical threat who can quickly accelerate, creating separation between himself and defenders, writes Sanchez. Bond has effortless speed to stride past defenders and can use this speed to set up other elements of his game, working the short and intermediate portions of the field. Bond could represent an upgrade over Cooks, who is more of a possession receiver at this stage of his career rather than a deep threat. The 31-year-old Cooks averaged 12.2 yards per reception during the 2023 season with a long of just 37 yards. That's a decline from his 13.5 yards per reception career average and the 16.6 yards per reception he once averaged as a member of the New England Patriots back in 2017. By comparison, Bond averaged 13.9 yards per reception during the 2023 season, including a 31-yard game-winning touchdown reception against the Auburn Tigers on a 4th-and-goal conversion to land the Crimson Tide a bid in the SEC championship game. With Lamb seeing an increase in volume, he led the league with 135 receptions in 2023, a major increase from the 107 receptions he posted during the 2022 season. The Cowboys could use a specialty deep receiver such as Bond. A major benefit for the Cowboys in replacing Cooks with Bond is due to salary cap implications. For example, the Green Bay Packers selected Jordan Morgan with the 25th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. They'll pay him a little over $14 million over the duration of his rookie contract, with just $3.5 million on an average annual basis. According to Spotrac, Lamb's projected contract value is $34.0 million per season across 4 years for a total of slightly more than $136 million. That total would represent 13% of the team's total salary cap, higher than any player with the exception of Dak Prescott, currently 21.6%. While Cooks remains productive at this stage of his career, 54 receptions for 657 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns, it's hard to envision the Cowboys bringing him back for another season considering their salary cap limitations. With big contracts due for Lamb, Prescott and Micah Parsons, don't be surprised if the Cowboys spend a high draft pick on a player such as Bond next year. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Isaiah Bond? Leave your opinion in the comments.